All right. Welcome to another episode of Take a Look with Ryan and Daryl. Today on the show, we have special guest Ken Howe. He is a retired teacher, and he is what's your position at Pinecrest, Ken?
Project facilitator, but I'm the chair of the team too.
There you go. The project facilitator at Pinecrest Housing in Bloomfield, Ontario. Right. Their goal there, Pinecrest Housing will benefit the community of the municipality of Prince Edward County and the surrounding area by providing and operating nonprofit, affordable accommodation and facilities for an active, healthy, and independent environment in which all people can thrive.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
There he is. I just pulled it right off the website. So, well, welcome to the show, Ken. Thanks for coming on. I've been looking forward to talking to you about the project. We've done a little bit of work together, just kind of getting the word out about what's going on down at Pinecrest. But maybe we can start off for those who don't know, what is Pinecrest Housing? What is this thing?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say, Ryan, it's really super to be able to chat with you to get the word out. I think everybody is aware of the fact that we need affordable housing in Canada, in the province of Ontario, in this region in particular, and Pinecrest Housing is attempting to address that very need. It's been maybe about 10 years in the thought process, and about 6 years ago, the Pinecrest School was declared surplus to the Hastings Prince Edward District School Board. And so we thought, wouldn't that be a wonderful venue to build affordable housing? And so the journey began then, and we've been really helped a lot by the municipality and to a degree with the federal and provincial governments, but we could always use a lot more.
Yeah. Well, that's I think it's such a great idea because we're taking basically a useless building that's not being used. It's just going derelict, and we also have a housing shortage. So what better solution is there to create it into housing? So maybe you can update us. Where are we at with the project? When did this whole thing start? Well, let's start with the background. Yeah, when did this whole thing start? Where did the idea come from?
About 10 years ago, I was involved with helping to move people who were in great need of changing homes and venues, and some of the places we were moving people into were just dreadful. I was horrified when I got home and told my wife about how bad these places were, that there are no options, especially for seniors. Initially, we were looking at multi-generational housing, but then we realized the group that's in the greatest need is seniors. So phase one of our construction would be dealing just for seniors housing, and phase 2 and 3 and plus will be for a different, general demographic of all people. And you're right about the school. I mean, we tout the 3 R's, recycle, reuse, and so forth, reduce. But why would you not use a fabulous facility? This is a multi-million-dollar facility that is basically surplus, it's reached the end of its usefulness. It's not reached the end of its life. And there's 1,000 of these empty schools in the province of Ontario, and the general rule is bulldoze them and turn them into building lots. And if we can recycle this building and reuse it for a need that's extremely necessary, I mean, who's going to build affordable housing in this financial climate? You're going to want to make money if you're going to. And we have been able to amass a tremendous team of volunteers. Nobody on our team has received a cent, not 1 cent. And so we've got the most lean, mean team possible to try and convert this school into housing.
How do you think we got here not just in Prince Edward County, but Ontario, Canada, where we have a housing shortage across the board, but specifically for seniors? How did we get into this situation where we just don't have housing for them?
I think I have thought through that many times. Like, why is this school vacant? Why didn't we need to keep it open? And when the school was built 60 years ago, amazing thing happened. soldiers came back from the Second World War. They decided we'll have children. They had 5 or 6
Lots
kids.
of them. Yeah.
Lots of children were born. And
They may say a baby boom went on.
Yeah. And what do you need then? Shortly thereafter, you're going to need schools. So all of these small schools were amalgamated into central schools. So I believe that there were like 12 schools, small one-room schoolhouses were closed to create the situation for Pinecrest. So it was designed and built for 700 children. When it got down to 180, they got to say something. Hey, wait, time out. You can't afford to keep the building going. Now, instead of the average, I would think when I was young, the average home had probably 4 in Prince Edward County, maybe 6 because they were a big farming community. Now it's 1.5. I don't know how you get a half a child, but that's the dynamic number. So as a result, the population of Prince Edward County has been the same for like 50 years. It hasn't changed, but the need has changed in as much as you don't need one house that's got 8 people in it. You need one house that's got 1 or 2 people in it. And so and also people have been migrating from the more urban areas, that a lot of the homes around us are homes for people who have moved in from Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal. And a lot of them, I look out my door, and the dozen houses I can see, a third of them are cottages or Airbnbs. And so the housing shortage and people who are on seniors and retired income pensions, fixed income, they can't afford to stay. So they have to move out. They can't afford to, and there is no other option.
Right. Well, you mentioned that they're moving into some of these horrible places. Like, what kind of places are these? Where are they? Are they in the same communities or in the separate communities?
Some of them were in this community, yes. And they were just dreadful. I mean, I wouldn't let my dog, I haven't got a dog, but I wouldn't let my dog go and live in that apartment. So they were closing their house, selling it, thinking they were going to be able to buy something or rent something, but there is nothing. And so in the rental community, Prince Edward County has the worst vacancy rate, below 1%, meaning if you have an apartment complex, 1% of the time or less, you have a vacancy. So people move out, people move in right away. So there's no vacancy. And the affordability, why would you rent out an apartment for the going rate, according to CMHC, is $1,000, give or take. So why would you rent it out for $1,000 when you can rent it out for $2,000?
Yeah, or more.
Yeah,
or more.
it's just economic sense.
Right.
So somebody's going to lose and somebody's going to win. And who loses? Seniors are losing, so they've got to move very far afield in order to find a place to live. They can't live back in their own community.
Would it be fair to say that part of the housing crisis in Prince Edward County specifically is because of a lot of the Airbnb and tourism side of things, or is it a lack of development, or why are we at such a low low vacancy rate?
Combination of things, right? And I think because they are buildings going on, but the buildings that are being built are out of the financial availability. My kids, my daughter and husband, both of them doing very well job-wise, can't afford to buy a house in Prince Edward County. They bought a fixer-upper, and we are in the process of fixing it up so that they can move out of my basement where they've been for years. It's not a situation that you as a county resident or I as a county resident like to see. Mm-hmm. It's been exacerbated, I think, by the fact that it's a wonderful place to live. The campgrounds, the tourism part, the arts, the crafts, the craft beer, the craft wine, the this, the that, the other. It's a great place to live. Mm-hmm. And so it's an attractive thing that when you are, okay, we're going to retire, we're going to move out from the inner city of the 3 major cities close by. Prince Edward County looks like a great place. You know, I can sell my home there, and for half that amount, buy a nice place here So we'll buy that and retire maybe a bit down the line. And so there's a lot of vacant homes that I think are for that very purpose. And as a result, too, people who are fixer-uppers, I can buy a house for X number of dollars, and I can fix it up, and I can get twice as much for it. So there's the fringe homes are not even available anymore.
Right. So how did so Pinecrest was empty? You saw the problem. The seniors are moving into some horrible places because you were part of the moving ministry at Emmanuel, correct? Is that how that
That's
came
correct.
about?
That's yeah.
So how did you put those two together? Or it's like, hey, Pinecrest, here we go. Let's get this thing started. When did that start? How did that start?
I'm kind of a Mr. Fix-It. I see a problem. Let's try and fix it. Mr. Handyman. Part through my teaching career too, you see a child who is having difficulty learning. How come? Let's try and make the learning more fun. And I saw the problem and figured, okay, how can we address this? And I looked at a large number of other facilities in the county, first of all, like closed hospitals, factories, and so on and so on. An old hospital up on the airbase, the Craig Centre on Kingsley Crossroad, tried to buy it, but somebody wanted to use it for another purpose. So when Pinecrest did come available, it was like a eureka moment. It was no question, it was a miracle. No question. And so because it checked off so many boxes, a lot of land, solid building, fully accessible, all on one level, future possibilities. Now, the reason I'm saying that is I went to a huge number of similar buildings, schools and so forth that were converted around the province. And I talked to them, I said, what is it that mistakes you made? You're happy you did it? Oh, the best thing I ever did. They would say, what was the biggest mistake you had? And they all pretty much said the same thing. We didn't think ahead to phase 2 and 3. He said, so if you've got the land, do not get rid of it and sever it off, and it then prevents you from going to build. He said, because guaranteed, the one I visited in Perry Sound called The Sound, and the one in Peterborough called, anyway, it doesn't matter. They all said they wish they had the capacity and the space to build additional structures within their building envelope, but they sold off land and lost that opportunity. Just totally lost it.
And I'm sure it's tempting too to sell off part of the land so you can pay off a bunch of the mortgage or whatever needs to happen because this project isn't cheap, right?
But the complexity of it, we think like we're severing the property into 3 parcels because you have to have a land parcel in order to get funding. You cannot put a mortgage on a second parcel if it's all one parcel. It has to be severed into parcels. And the hoops that you've got to go through, you'd think affordable housing should be more reasonable. It's a great deal more expensive to build affordable housing than it is to build regular housing because there's so many stipulations and you've got to keep it at a certain financial rate. It's difficult to rent at market rent. You can't really do that in order to make your financial statements work out, and you've got to have a lot more safety features, a lot more accessibility features, bigger doorways, turning radiuses for wheelchairs, countertops, heights. All these things have to be built into affordable housing if it's going to be affordable.
Right. So this project started when? What year was that? When was the building purchased?
Okay, the building became surplus approximately 6 years ago.
Okay.
And so we worked out a contract with the municipality. They agreed to buy the school on our behalf. We signed a contract with them. So they purchased it at fair market value, which is far below what market value would be now. And we made an agreement that we would pay them back in a year and a half, which we did. So then we became the sole owners approximately, they bought it like 5 years ago. We had a year and a half to pay to buy it back. So subtract. So 3.5 years ago, we became owners of it. And since then, we've been working through with CMHC and attempting to attain some funding streams in order to be able to make it. And we're right on the precipice of signing that CMHC contract to get the finances. But again, of course, the interest rate has gone up. Cost of doing the construction has gone up. But I still think we're in a wonderful place by comparison. I mean, the province of Ontario calculates it costs $400,000 to $500,000 per unit to build affordable housing.
Whoa. Wow.
And we can do it for half of that amount because we've got the building, we've got the walls, got the floor, got the ceiling. The buildings are fabulous. It's a fabulous building, steel structure with cement block infill. You would never build that again like that if you, for 400 or 500, 6, 7 to build it per unit.
Yeah. So so tell me a bit about the building itself. So it used to be elementary school. Is this a school that you taught at, Ken?
No.
No, you never taught at this one. But you taught in Prince Edward County,
every
correct?
school in Prince Edward County pretty much other than
this one.
No, I worked in this school and coached in there and so forth, but I was never a teacher in Pinecrest School.
Right. Well, now you're getting your chance to spend a lot of time in there, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a bit about the building itself. Like what besides obviously the facility that's there, what makes it ideal for senior housing? And then what are the phases after that? Because you have the affordable housing, but then you also have the community center that is part of phase 2. Is that correct?
No, we're doing our very best to keep the school as a central hub for the entire project. And that's difficult when you're trying to do the finances, that you almost need to say, okay, we're going to use every little corner of it for a unit. And then you hurt yourself for the next step. So if we can keep it in and around 50-odd units, splitting the classrooms in half. So the classrooms are approximately 800 square feet. So you cut them in half, you got 400 and 400. But the school property is 50,000 square feet. That's just the school itself, 50,000 square feet. And it's on 20 acres. A mile around the outside, walking paths, 1,000 trees plus. But the building is terrazzo floor, fabulous. Very wide, like 12-foot wide hallways. And there's 30 classrooms. So if we take 25 of those and convert them into 50 units, you then have additional space that you can have as central meeting rooms, as guest suite. Definitely there will be a large dining hall, commercial kitchen, a craft room, changing rooms, so that, and we'll do our best to definitely keep the gymnasium intact. And with those extra spaces too, we can then, our plan is to have it as more of a central hub that would have doctor's office, physio, medical center in the building. So it's one step, not one look. Residential, and if we can keep it that way for that central core, then phase 2 will support that core. I had a great conversation yesterday with some people regarding utilizing the school for the arts, theater groups using the facility. And why don't we fix up the gym so it becomes, rather than just a gym, it's more of a auditorium, multi-arts facility, so that we can have plays in there, dinner theaters, you name it. The sky is the limit when you've got a really good central core building. And I think that's the same sort of thing that should be looked towards in the other 1,000 empty schools in the province of Ontario. Don't bulldoze them.
Right.
You know, because we are not the only ones in the province of Ontario that has got a shortage of affordable housing. This is a huge problem internationally. I'm on a bunch of Zoom meetings with World Health Organization and IFA, International Federation on Aging, and they're all crying the same blues.
Mm-hmm. So what has this response been from the community? Not just like in the county, but like government agencies. When you pitch it to them, what do they say?
Great idea.
Let me get my checkbook.
Great idea. Great idea. Why are you doing this? Why on earth would you build affordable housing? Don't you want to make a lot of money? I'm retired. Need something to do. See an urgent need. And know that this is need to be done. It's really an urgent need. Mm-hmm. And the community at large, Prince Edward County community, has been amazing. It costs us $7,000 a month to maintain the building. Heat, hydro, taxes, insurance. $7,000 a month. Do the math.
Yeah,
80,000 plus per year just to keep it with nothing happening. We've been fortunate. We've had some funding from student work program. Each summer we have a group of students coming and working in there. How community oriented is it? Our lawyer, our accountant, and a bunch of other people who support the building do their work. Sometimes they'll give us a bill. We'll pay the bill and they'll pay us back again. Give it back. How does that happen? These are professional people, but they say, this is an urgency. This is a great need. Why don't I come alongside that group and make it happen? It's been a little more difficult because the government is stuck in rules and
red tape,
yeah. And who is this group, Pinecrest Housing? You know, can we give them funding? You know, but you can get CMHC funding. So we're asking for $10 million from CMHC. And problem is you have to pay almost all of it back, plus interest. The last grant that our team heard about was they got 3%. So 97% all has to be paid back plus interest. So you have to have a business model that will be able to sustain that, and you can't.
But with affordable housing, you're restricted to certain rates, so you can only bring in so much revenue on the rental side. So it needs to be subsidized some other way.
Yeah. So we are, you know, you've got to balance that because you don't know how much is the interest rate going to be when we actually sign the deal.
Right.
So what percentage of the building? Right now we're looking at a 50-50 split. So half will be affordable and the other half will be market rent. And the available market or affordable rent in Prince Edward County, we have to use CMHC's numbers, and they're saying it's like $900 a month. You can't rent a garage for $900 a month in Prince Edward County. Never mind fully functional. And what are the other options? Is some really, really nice, beautiful seniors complex in Belleville and Prince Edward County, but they're $3,000 to $5,000 a month. I am blessed with a very good teacher's pension, but I couldn't afford to live in one of those seniors complexes.
So what is, at this point, you're waiting on funding.
Correct.
What has been the biggest struggle thus far to getting that funding? Because it's been a couple of years now, fundraising, getting the word out. What is the biggest holdback from that? From like, because it seems to me like you have Prince Edward County who has this building that they need to, that's been it's empty, so it's going to go derelict. It's just going to cost money to operate with it being empty, like you just said. But here you come in, we're taking the property, which now they're receiving tax money and revenue from it. You're solving that problem. You're solving a problem of housing, and then you have parking that's there in Bloomfield that you're helping the town out with. It seems like, shouldn't there be a lot more, I don't know, scratching your back from from all three levels of government, really, because here's a non-for-profit coming in, solving all of these problems for us. They should be throwing money at you, Ken. Why is that not happening?
Have you ever heard of the word common sense? It's not.
What's that, Ken? I don't know if my generation understands that.
It's not in the dictionary anymore. I swear it's not in the dictionary. It's uncommon sense. And yes, all three levels of government have been through the building and said, wonderful idea. Okay, so help us make it happen. And I think that is slowly happening.
Okay, good.
That there are funding streams that are slowly starting to come out that were not available 10 years ago. So we have made a number of applications for funding and transition initiative funding, RHI, rapid housing, on and on and on. And because of fine technicalities, we really weren't eligible. We're not a government agency. We're like a freelance, nonprofit housing team. How do you have to have charitable status. Well, that's really difficult to do. So the municipality allowed us to use their charitable number for the first couple of years, and then now we're utilizing Emmanuel's. Well, neither of those groups have really got a mandate to build affordable housing. So we're in the process of applying for our own financial affordable nonprofit number, which will be wonderful when that comes through. But I think all levels of government are starting to realize, this is a really hard nut to crack. It's really difficult, and we've got to try and help them. So there have been some streams of funding coming down the pipes that I think are going to be more helpful to us to make this happen.
Oh, good. Yeah, because I mean, I think there's been a lot of good, motive in different levels of government, or at least a lot of lip service to that. So there's been a lot of, here's we want to solve the housing crisis. Here's some tax incentives. Here's rebates. Here's all these programs that the federal and provincial government have put out. But it seems like there's still just red tape on the municipal side that keeps pulling a lot of residential housing from pulling back. Are you experiencing that as well on your side?
No. The municipality has really been quite helpful, but I think all three levels of government are saying, well, it'll work itself out. The business model will work itself out. We don't need to throw money at it. We don't need to really be helpful. But I think all of them are realizing, this is a really tough nut to crack. This is really not easy, and we've got to start helping them. And that has been happening. Not fast enough for me.
Yeah. So have you gotten, like, is it just been kind of some promises to stuff's coming down, or anything solid, or is it just still
no,
this
definitely
point?
solid.
Oh, good.
Definitely solid. The federal government has come across with a new program that if we reach certain energy levels, if we are highly energy efficient building, there's $25,000 per unit available. If we are accessible, it's worth another $25,000 per unit. Affordable, if you hit an affordability number, so we can access $75,000 per unit. But as I already said, it's going to cost us $250,000 per unit. So 75 is not going to. But I think all government levels, the municipality didn't have a program set up that, well, we can help them with taxes, or we can help them, because it never happened before.
Right.
So now it is starting to happen. So I think all three are saying, maybe we need to help them a little bit more because they cannot do it on their own.
Well, I couldn't agree more. They should all be helping out. This seems to be a no-brainer in my mind. Like you say, everybody you tell it to is just like, what a great idea. What a great idea. And it's like,
I've never heard the other way.
Yeah, that's right.
Never heard that somebody say, this is a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned too that you went and toured a few other facilities up in all around Ontario, I guess.
Yeah.
What did they do right to get to where they are now? How did they get there? And what lessons can you take from what you've seen there?
I wish they had some magic bullets that we could use, but there isn't. Every one of them it was like finding teeth in a chicken. The Mount in Peterborough, they got a beautiful piece of property that used to be a Catholic monastery type place, and the fellow who built that had to mortgage his own house in order to get it off the ground. The group in Perry Sound had to just work like crazy, and it was not easy. None of these have been easy, but they've all been developed with a group of non-profit people. Some of them were community-minded, some of them were church groups, some of them were clubs. There's two wonderful facilities in Prince Edward County. One is the Wellington Legion Manor. Great place. Harmony House in Picton. Great place. Neither of them were built by government or by private developers. They were built by people who had thin wallets, big hearts. And I think that those are the two features that Pinecrest Housing has. You know what? I guess I'm stubborn. I'm a stubborn Englishman, and I see this as a challenge. And I used to be a long distance runner, very serious about running long distance. And I think same thing. If I didn't have the stick-to-itiveness, I would have quit long ago.
So you're waiting on CMHC, for funding. When do you find out when that comes in? Is that and then if that comes in, is the building continuing, or where are you at in the construction phase?
Yeah, we're in the final steps. Unfortunately, our wonderful, fabulous, long-term architect, Ladislav Tretsky, passed away. So that put us back at least 4 months. Find a new architect, get them up to speed. They've got to the point that Ladislav was at when he passed away over the Christmas time period. And so that put us behind. We were told, make sure you sever. So we've got to sever the property into 3 parcels, with the school being in the middle and a bigger parcel to the north, smaller to the south. Those things all have to be in the first initial presentation to CMHC. So there's a few small items that have to be completed. Our hope is that within a month now, we'll be able to have that document, push the button to send to CMHC. They've really been helpful as far as saying, okay, make sure you got this, make sure you got this. That way, when it does hit their desk at Canadian Mortgage and Housing, CMHC, it'll be a quick solution to the problem. Or, yeah, you got the money, but then we had to get bridge financing too. So if you do work, you got to pay the people and then send the bill into. So we've been able to achieve that through extreme generosity. So the only way that we've been able to get this to this point, keep it moving, is through tremendous generosity from charitable organizations and groups within the community, small donors. The hardest thing for me to do, Ryan, is I'll have this little old lady come up to me and say, Ken, will this thing be done before I die? And what do? Do you laugh or you cry? And 2 of those ladies that said that to me have passed away since.
Oh, man.
So am I failing or am I succeeding? You know, it's like, it's heart-wrenching when somebody says that to you and you say, I have to say I'm doing my very best. My heart's in it. My family, fortunately, my wife and my kids, you know, have been really, really supportive. And the community and the team I've got, you can see them on our website, www.pinecresthousing.org, are amazing. And they have to be pretty determined, and a little bit crazy helps in order to get it moving forward.
Have you received any like formal pushback from, well, any community members, government, anything like that? Have you received anybody saying, hey, this is not a good idea? Like everyone has said it's good?
Nothing. The only pushback, I think, is, of course, every time you get a new government coming in, when you have a new team of municipal councillors, they have to be upgraded and re-educated as to who we are and what we are and why would you do this. You get a new government in, provincial government comes in or federal government comes in. Well, no, we're cancelling all those loans or those funding streams that the other guys put in, so you're going to have to start back at square one. And it's like, that's the only pushback. I don't think I've ever hardly had anybody come to me and say, people will say to me, though, it seems awfully small, 400 square feet. And I said, the biggest motorhome that they make that is like 50 feet long is only 300 square feet. So it's bigger than the biggest motorhome. Oh, well, I don't know whether I could stay in it. Have you ever been on a cruise? You can go on a cruise around the world and your cabin is 200 square feet. Oh, yeah, but I don't live in the cabin. I am out and about doing this.
Condos in Toronto, I think average size are about 400 square feet, right?
But the whole purpose of this design is not to have people living in. I don't want to build an apartment building or a nursing home. Right. Don't want it. It's life sapping. We want life-giving facilities so that people want to live in community. Biggest cause of death in Canada is loneliness.
Right.
Let's counteract that by living in community, and that's a dying principle in Canada. If you live in an apartment building, you don't know who lives left, right, up above or down below. You just don't know that. Whereas if you live in community, you counteract loneliness, and you live and you look forward to, I'm going to go and have a dinner with my friends in the dining hall. I'm going to watch a play tonight. I'm going to go watch a football, hockey, baseball, basketball game in the lounge. We got a big screen TV, and we're all going to go down there and eat chips and be wild and crazy, even though we're seniors.
Well, I really love that idea of the community hub there, which it's not just community amongst the seniors themselves, but when you have the community come in, so like you're saying, whether it's doing performances or at the kitchen there or doing whatever, I think the intergenerational community is super, super important. And I think they've done a lot of studies on this too. I know in Holland, they have a program where they'll actually pay, you get free room and board as a student if you live with a senior. And they found that the studies from that is the mental health benefits for both the senior and
it's a win-win.
It's unbelievable. Yep. So I'm really excited about that part of it, to see kind of the community come to the senior facility, because I think a lot of these facilities too are very kind of closed doors, especially since COVID. Yep. And speaking of COVID, I think a lot of people have also realized that they don't want to be sitting in their apartment alone by themselves for any amount of time. We need community. We need that connection with the outside world. Yeah. So take me through a bit of the community hub aspect of this, because you have the housing, you'll have the gymnasium with maybe organizations coming in to do performances or cooking or stuff like that,
or sports.
What is the final goal of the community hub? Like, what does that look like?
As I said, it's been a long journey, and way back when it was just build housing for everybody, then narrowed it down. No, we need to build it only for seniors. Well, wait a minute. Biggest cause of death in Canada for seniors is loneliness. You need to address that. So again, we've been in the process of studying what's the best kind of housing. Co-housing seems to be, and like you're saying, there's a model in Europe where people live in community. So we support the other people within that community. They've got a broken knee replacement. But why don't they go down and wheel you down to the dining hall? You work to support one another. And I think that's certainly our forefathers did more of that. And certainly the native community did that. Boy, they really honor their seniors. They are so important to them. And I think in a lot of countries that is. And that's kind of...
Yeah, we've kind of thrown that out in our civilization a little bit, in our culture.
Yeah, we lock people away in nursing homes.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody who lives in a nursing home. I have. And they don't have people visiting them. They are secluded. And to me, it's very, very, it's a crime.
Yeah. Well, here's a bit of a hot take, Ken. With housing prices going up, which is not wonderful for everyone, the silver lining, I guess, in the increased housing prices is a lot of people are moving into multi-generational living situations where, they're moving. Well, mom and dad are moving in with them, or they're moving in with mom and dad, or grandma and grandpa are coming in there. And well, just like yourself, your son and a daughter-in-law and their kids have been in your basement for 5 years. So I think it's, but how great has that been for your relationship? It's like
wonderful.
How, as a grandfather, like you've told me you get to walk to your grandkids to the bus stop and you get to see them every day. Like that sounds like a great way to live, but I think even with my generation, my family, there's such this hyper independence in my generation that was pushed. That was like, as soon as you turn 18, get out of the house, go make your own life, go, there's supposed to be leave and cleave, right? You leave your father and mother, cleave to your wife or your spouse, and you make your own life. But I think we push that too far, where we don't come back to the community, to our family roots. And so I'm kind of hoping, well, even for myself, we're looking at kind of a multi-generational living situation, whether it's down the road from our in-laws or on the same property or something. I think on the social part of it, the mental health part of it, and just practically, I think having extra hands to help out with the kids, it's actually not the worst thing in the world, though I'm not advocating for housing prices to go higher.
It used to be that way. The farmhouse that we moved into when we first came here, it was a multi-generational home. That grandpa lived and grandma lived there, and they operated the farm, and the sons, and they had kids. So the big farmhouses had 10 or 15 rooms in them, and there were many generations in there. They were born in that house, they died in that house, and they lived and supported one another. So a small farm was highly intensive. That's gone. That style is gone. I think and I certainly hope that will be a changeable trend that has come to be more, you live in community, you support one another. And I am spoiled. It's so good with me having my daughter and son-in-law living in our home, but we're building them another house, and maybe we'll move into there.
Yeah, there you go. Just follow them over there in a couple of years. Yeah, no, I have the same hopes, and I think, well, I lost my dad 4 years ago now, and like how many days do I wish I could just have a few more moments with him, to not just to spend with me, but to spend with my children, right? To teach me the lessons I need to learn now about being a father, and who best to learn from my own father. And, I wish I had more time with him. And even when he was still on this earth, I wish, I was closer to him, so I was able to spend more time with him. And I think at the end of the day, or at the end of our lives rather, that saying, that old adage, nobody wishes they spent more time at the office on their deathbed. They wish they spent more time with family. So I think like the multi-generational living situations is kind of the perfect thing. I don't know really how we got here from it, but I think it's the answer.
Oh yeah. I'm not good at remembering your songs, but there's a song, about that very thing, I'll get around to it. I'll come down to it. Give me some time. I'll come back, and you can't get that time back again.
Cat's in the cradle.
Yes, yeah. That's it. Shall we sing that, Ryan?
Well, I don't want to hurt our viewers' ears there, Ken. But
yeah, but listen to Cats in the Cradle.
Yeah,
great song. Yeah. When are we going to do it? Not right now.
Yeah. How about another day?
Another day. And I think today is the day. And we're hoping that this project, and I'm hoping that it will be a light for others to try to say, okay, we could do that. Because so often I've talked to groups and they say, oh, there's a school just down the road from us and it's vacant.
Yep.
What they're doing with it? Bulldozing it.
Yeah. Well, I drive around. Well, I mean, we shoot real estate primarily, so we're all over, central rural Ontario here, and there's tons of these abandoned schools. And ever since Pinecrest, the project started, every time I see an empty one, I'm like, oh, there could be another one. There could be another one. There could be another one. I know that actually there was a government building in Belleville here that they just sold off to create apartments and condos, and I think that's what we need to do instead of, like you say, instead of bulldozing, let's repurpose them. But there has to be some sort of funding stream for that, because to be pulling teeth like you've been doing for the past 5 years seems ridiculous, but for a very common sense, which doesn't exist, kind of idea, right?
Yeah. Well, when I came to Prince Edward County and started teaching, there was 8 schools there. There ain't no more.
Yeah.
It's 4.
Yeah.
And what happened to the others? Well, one was very small and was turned into a house. The other one sits vacant, and Pinecrest sits vacant. And, the schools around that have been bulldozed. It's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame. And my mission is to try to bring some change to that.
Yeah. So how can people help out besides donating money, obviously, which is probably the easiest way? How can people help out? Can they write letters to their members of parliament, or what's the best way people can help out Pinecrest get done?
I think so. I think that if they talk to their politicians and they check out for sure our website and watch the short video, 2-minute video that OneLook Video made for us, it's wonderful. It's like, educate yourself a little bit, see how well you can support and encourage the people who are in the decision-making process to, why wouldn't you get behind a common sense project like that?
Yeah, I'm with you, Ken. You got my full support. Who knows? I might be living in Pinecrest one day.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Was there anything else we wanted to cover about the project that we haven't talked about, Ken?
No, it's just a wonderful spot. Like there's a mile walking path around the outside. We've planted over 1,000 trees. It's going to be, we design the inside so there'll be a fifth of a mile walking path on the inside of the school. You never have to go outside if it's inclement. You can't use the outside walking trail. It should be a win-win.
Yeah.
And I would hope to be able to make it that way, a win-win situation for all.
Yeah. Do you have a slated closing date of the project if the funding comes through? Is there a tentative timeline?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it'll be a year and a half. If we had the money today, signed, sealed, and delivered from CMHC, a year and a half from today, we'd be opening the door to residents to moving in. Wow,
that's quick. Yeah. Well, what have you guys done already? Like, where's the building at right now? Because I know you've done a bunch of work in there, but what state is the building in at this moment?
A lot of internal demolition, clearing up of the school. Like, it was a school, so you got to get rid of all the stuff that was schoolish. The doors have all got to be widened. The door position's got to be shifted. But you look at it from the outside, it looks as if nothing's happened. But if you go inside, you say, oh, a lot of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think we've taken out like 20 dumpsters of stuff. Acoustic tile, some floor tiling, door frames, doors, on and on and on and on. Just masses of stuff has been taken out. But now it's a process of, okay, we've got it demolished to the point now that we need to start building. And you can't do building unless you've got the finances to move ahead. That's where we're at, trying to get that financial stream of funding from federal and provincial and the backing applications through to get it from the municipalities to support us, and we're moving ahead on all of those fronts.
Right. Well, Ken, where if people want to get in touch with you, how can they get a hold of you? Where can they go? Where can they donate money?
Certainly through our website, which is www.pinecresthousing.org. They can get themselves educated and drive past Pinecrest School on 27 Corey Street in Bloomfield. It's a great place. It'll be fabulous. One of a kind.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming on, Ken. This was great. I'm excited for the project, and I can't wait till, well, I mean, the ground has been broken, but I can't wait for the next phase to get underway.
I can't wait to have you walk through the door and see, what do you think, Ryan?
Yeah.
Is it looking great?
Awesome.
And I appreciate very, very much to have the chance to talk with you and share our dreams and heartfelt enthusiasm for the project.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Ken. Well, you didn't need the barf bucket.
The what? Yeah.